Good afternoon. Welcome to South TV. This is Monica Kunsekwe-Guta, your host. I am excited today because I have got one of our very own, Lee Madzinga, and we are talking about being of service. And I'm excited to have this conversation with Lee. Lee, can you tell our audience who Lee Madzinga is and greet them at the same time?
Yes, who Lee Madzinga is. That's a lot in that question, I guess, for me. I am I am not. I'm 25 years old. I'm a podcaster. Um, but the way in which my podcast started, it started off of a seeing things in the world happening that
Mhm.
that brought a lot of wanting to change our community, change what's going on, change the dialogue that's happening. And because of the way that me and my co-host Justice, because of the way that we saw these things, we decided, you know what, we need to create a space where we can speak and then also use it as an engine to go out into our community and do the work that we feel needs to be done. So really, I guess the short form answer there is kind of in this capacity, I'm a podcaster. I'm a person who likes to sit in front of a mic and say how I feel. And I feel
Right.
like in today's world, I feel like that's very useful. You know, a lot of people could benefit just off of having a voice.
Okay. And you're using that platform to talk about how you feel. You mentioned that with the way things are going in the world today. Can you elaborate a little bit more into that?
Yes. So I started the podcast originally. It was just myself. I think it would be a year and a half ago now, and then and then I became quite busy, and then it was the beginning right before the protest, the death of Ahmaud Arbery.
Okay.
'Cause I had been in the States for 4 years and then came back, and the death of Ahmaud Arbery hit me very hard. It was very difficult for me because I was in the States. I was only 5 hours away from Ferguson when the Ferguson riots were happening, and
Mhm.
I had always felt in my heart that there was something I hadn't done, something I could have done that could have been more to help people, to help to help my community as I saw it, as I saw, the black community, to help people in general. Um,
Okay.
and it really was heavy in my heart. And I spoke to Justice, and Justice and I, we've been friends a long time, but as the conversations we have are very different for, I guess, for people our age, is what most people would probably expect. Um, those
Uh-huh.
conversations led us to saying, you know what, we can create something here that can help people. As
Mhm.
people go out in March, we can take this time to also educate ourselves, to read more. To We started a book club early on to read more, to educate ourselves. We can try to be useful within our community. So
Mhm.
that was the community aspect came far before the podcast, and it was something that we said, okay, this podcast, we have to make sure every step of the way that it is something in which we feel is going out and trying to help out in our community as well.
Okay. So
Mhm.
you mentioned your friend Justice.
Yes.
You know Justice, but everybody else doesn't know Justice.
Yeah.
Who is Justice?
Uh, so give our story here. in 2005, Justice and I met. We were just coming from the U.S. We were coming at the time as refugees, and we met at a refugee shelter in
Okay.
Ontario. And it was funny, the day we met. It was my birthday. Yeah, we met on my birthday, and um, ever since then, we've been the best of friends. We've been close friends, and that has always, I think that experience has always been something that has connected us, and it makes it very easy for us to also hold a podcast because
Right.
we have this shared experience that allows us to have a link into certain worlds that we have a good understanding of, and a link into people's lives that not
Mhm.
everybody necessarily has, especially young people like ourselves.
Yes, I think that is important because it gives you a different view, a different perspective, and also a different understanding of life because other people are not exposed to that. It is a suffering because it has taken you away from home and it has put you in a place of uncertainty, but it's also exposing the difficulties that people face in society. So can you tell us how that has influenced what you have been doing or in this season?
Yes. So when when we started working the podcast together, that's when we started said, okay, right away we need to get into our community and do something. So we wanted to do something that connected so strongly and so viscerally with us, and
Mm-hmm.
that was the food bank, something we had experienced. And we've built such a great connection with Edmonton Food Bank, and it's a place that we like to go. We go back there once a month. The more people we can have to go
Mm-hmm.
with us to the food bank, the more we can go. And so we want to be able to increase our reach out there so we can go and spend more time bringing more volunteers to the food bank, and also bringing light to the fact that there are people, especially here in Canada, for people to not have food, right?
Mm-hmm.
To not have, let's say, not have food, not have shelter, not have basic toiletries, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's so cold, and to think about that, it's so it can be very heartbreaking. So it's something for us we care so much about. We care so much about going out there and helping because we experienced it. We were in those food lines as
Mm-hmm.
children, and every single time we create those boxes, we see the box. It'll let you know. It'll say how many kids are in that family. How many parents, how many adults. It really, it really, we feel like, okay, we're helping these people, and we're doing something to benefit someone else's life today. Even even if it is 30, 40 families, there might be there's always a limit to what you can do personally. But
Right.
if you can start a movement, then you're not limited anymore. You can help so many more people. If you can get people to help you, people to be along with what you want to do, then you're not limited anymore. And that's what brings us so much joy, knowing that we can do so much.
That is amazing because that awareness, is always helping you to see whenever there is a crisis that is affecting humanity because you've had that experience. What advice would you give to other young people?
Yeah, to other young people specifically, it would be, we don't always have the resource of money as young people, especially if we are, let's say, in college, which in college, another word for that is broke. You're broke, right? So, so we
Yes.
don't always have the resource of hard cash. But what we can do, that is that people often forget about is your time. Time in itself is a resource. And if you have free time, that resource can be used to help others. And that is the definition of volunteering. So when people say, "Oh, how can I go out and help?" I'm just a college student, or I'm just a young person. I don't have too much myself. No, when you have the time to go help, you can do so much for somebody who is in a very hard place. That especially when it comes to Edmonton Food Bank, take something like the food bank. You have, let's say, everybody brings in food. Even if a million people bring in food, that food needs to be packaged.
Right.
It needs to be set. It needs to be separated. It needs to be prepared to go out to show all these families. In Edmonton, they have 28 some different locations that it has to go to. You can use your time to actually help. So if you just go to the food bank, and the people there, I mean, they're so nice and they're so helpful, and they'll let you know, hey, here, this is what you can do. You go through a little training, and they'll show you exactly how to do it. And within as much time as you want to spend, you can be like, oh, I want to be here for 30 minutes, and you can be there for 30 minutes. You can say, I want to be here for 4 hours, whatever time you say you want to be there. And they'll be like, okay, this is what you can do for that time. And you find, and I'll be very honest, it feels like work when we're there. And I think for a lot of young people, that's something not too many of us like to go out, and we live in a world of ease. A world of ease has been created for us. But when we go out there, you feel like you've gone out and worked. But then when you can really see the fruits of your work, and I think that's what makes it so special.
Yes, I agree, because when you are also helping others, coming from volunteering, you're offering much more. You're offering yourself, and because you're not expecting anything in return, that is what makes it more fulfilling. And for the young people, like you were saying, it feels like work, like you say. And then when there is no money attached to it, some people get discouraged, but they don't realize that in volunteering, one, it builds character, it builds your resume.
Oh, for sure.
Yes, and it gives you a lot of credibility. But because you also get trained, the skills that you pick from there are the same skills that you would need when you then actually get to do work that way you get paid. It teaches you discipline. Volunteering is it's being selfless. And when we all have that, or if we could all learn to have that, we'll be more caring and more sensitive to each other.
Yeah, it shows a very special kind of character. I think, especially when people talk about how it prepares you for getting your job in the real world. It shows when people see that you have volunteer work under your resume. It shows them that, okay, you understand the value of work set aside from profit. That you understand work can actually do something, and you don't need to necessarily benefit from that work. So that alone shows, okay, it'll show you an employer, okay, this person here is somebody who can work, who I know can get down and do the job, because now they're also going to profit, Yeah.
So it builds trust. That gives instant trust right there. Whereas when you're just starting to work and you've got no experience of volunteering, something that shows that you can work without needing supervision, that much because you're volunteering and you have agreed that this is what I want to do, and you're doing it wholeheartedly.
Mm-hmm.
It just gives that instant pass for trust, and you start working, and your employer already has so much respect for you because of the services that you already provide to your community.
Yes, in many jobs, if you want to go into law and stuff now, they
Mm,
actually they actually tell you you need a certain amount of volunteer hours. So a lot of the people that we see at the food bank ourselves, there are people who are there collecting a mandated amount of volunteer hours. You know, so there is that. You know, I mean, we go because we feel like we have a push to want to do so. But there's a
mm,
lot of people who do go who are like, oh, okay, I need a mandated amount of hours, and
right.
yeah.
Wouldn't it be nice to know that you decided to go, and then when the job comes, you don't have to be sent to be sent out to make up the hours for volunteering.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure.
So I want you to now we want to go a little bit more into the podcast.
Mhm.
You tell us what your podcast is called, how you came up with the name, and
Mhm.
what else drives you?
Yes. So the podcast is called the Undeniable Future Podcast,
Mm,
and the name, the Undeniable Future, and where it came from my crazy mind, I guess. And it is about, in today's world, especially as young people, we're always told that for our generation, a lot of things will not be there. That social security net that was there in the past, uh,
mm,
we're told that the job security no longer exists that was there in generations past. But the undeniable future is to say, okay, even though we have all of these things that aren't guaranteed to us, we ourselves are the undeniable future. We will be the future.
oh
So
wow.
we need to go out and we need to take ownership for ourselves as individuals. You know, we cannot wait for the government or the state to do something for us. We need to go out. And that also, you know, helps with our outreach into the community. I
Mm,
can't wait for the government to go give people food if I can
mhm,
do that. You know, I cannot wait for the government to go force me to volunteer, which is wouldn't happen really. But I can go do that. I can go
right.
spend that time myself. So the undeniable future, it's a motto in a way for us, uh,
Mm,
for our podcast, to let us know that we have to take the individual responsibility to go out and be useful members of our society. And when we do that,
mhm,
then we can find success, and you can find different types of success, right? You find success in the happiness you feel. People forget that happiness is success. You know,
right.
it's not just a monetary thing. If you go out and you do the work and you strive and you find different things until you find what you're good at, you will also find that monetary success eventually. You will also find, you know, success in your relationships or whatever it may be in your life if you do the work yourself and don't assume that waiting there for a society that isn't prepared to help you is the right way.
Oh wow, that is so powerful. When these words are being thrown around, nothing is guaranteed. Guaranteed a job,
Yeah.
and I had not I had not stopped to think about how it might actually impact the people who are being told that your future is not guaranteed. Oh my goodness. And so the way that you have looked at it, it's like you have looked at You've looked at the devil in the eye.
Yeah, yeah, we believe in that very, very much. You gotta look your own future in the eye, and you
You
gotta,
look the devil in the eye and you say,
yeah.
no, 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 this is what you're telling me is not going to work. I
Hmm.
am going to take ownership and I'm going to own my future and I'm going to create the future I want right here. And this is how I'm going to do it. Oh,
Hmm.
how impressive. My goodness. Um, undeniable future. It is an affirmation and a strong statement at the same time. Um, so you said you have been doing your show for about 1.5 years.
Yes, in its current existence, really, the last year, that's when we came together, really put a team together,
Oh,
and started thinking about the podcast in a way where we're like, okay, let's build something here, something that is more than just just sitting down and speaking, something that is a lot more. So that, yeah, so roughly about a year. Hmm.
so you were saying that, so the outreach aspect of it,
Hmm.
is it you guys going out in the community or the platform help encourages people? How does it work?
So the platform itself. So when we speak on the podcast, a lot of it is us speaking about current events in ways that we see them. And the reason why we find that to be important is because for a lot of people our age, they don't feel a connection to the regular media cycle that exists today. So if you say, CNN, Fox, MSNBC, different news networks, CTV, what they don't feel that connection to that kind of news, because I
Mm,
feel like generally it's not being spoken in a way that connects to us. So we were like, okay, that's a place that we can come in there,
mm,
and our job can be to speak about these things in a way that people who are within our generation understand them a lot better. And when we do so, we also use that to push our outreach. So the whole goal is our podcast, our the things we speak about on the podcast, things we get. It's to raise awareness of what's going on around us.
mm.
I feel sometimes our generation, we're more worried about what goes on this thing, right? So like what
Right.
goes on Instagram, on Snapchat. So we feel like the awareness of what's going on in the world around you is quite important. Because if you don't know that, then it's very hard to then see a reason to go into the community and find a usefulness for yourself within it. So if we can get people to feel like the current events and things that are going on around the world are important to them, then they can also feel like, okay, hey, when these things happen. So like here in Edmonton, I'll give an example. There was recently there have been three different women who've been attacked. Uh,
Mm,
three different women who they were all wearing hijabs, and I believe in one case two of them were Somali, and they were attacked by a man who was yelling racial epithets at them, and he broke a window and actually assaulted one of them. And if we sit and we don't realize these things are happening in our community, then these things grow, you know. So then it's our responsibility to notice these things.
mm,
So for us to lock ourselves in and feel that by sitting behind in our phones and going and writing just a post, it sometimes isn't enough. You can use your voice in other ways. You can use your voice and really expand it. You can find things in your community that need help, because within different communities there's a lot of them that need assistance in different ways. So you can do that, and then you can really start using your personal resources and abilities to help people.
Wow. So if anyone is just joining us, we are talking about being on in service, and Lee is sharing about how he has been helping his community in Edmonton, volunteering for food at food banks, and also talking about his podcast. I'm going to read a few comments from from our viewers. One of it is from Gogoma Foro. She's here.
Oh,
Yes.
I go.
and, and also Virginia Maforo is here watching and listening. Chidonda Zungira, all the way from the UK, she's saying, "You are doing an amazing job, Lee." And Tendai Mbayiwa said, "Very insightful young man." I agree. You are way ahead of your time, and it makes us so proud because, you know, I think I've known you for about 5 years now. A
Yeah,
little,
it's been a
yeah.
while. Hmm.
And it's like you are seeing, you're seeing your child growing up, and he's growing up in a way you're even wondering that when did this happen? When did this happen? You are saving your community. We are also learning from you. And when you talked about the the news cycles, that the regular one not connecting with younger people, I think it's not just younger people, it's also they probably have just stuck to the original old script
Mm.
from the 50s, and they're still just following that structure, which is why they would spend the whole day talking about one thing. It would be a
Yeah.
break, it would be a break, and then they talk about that, take a break, and you're thinking, okay, so do they think that every minute or every hour there's someone new who's sitting to watch that clip, or where they're talking about one
Mhm.
subject? How can you talk of one subject 24/7? It drives you crazy. And so
Mhm.
everybody disconnects.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that then you end up seeing the disconnect when you look at uh, apps like Twitter, where things happen in real time.
Yes.
So then you have all these things happening so quickly, um, where it's not really a news cycle. It's just boom, 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 and then you really have to start to wonder, like, Twitter has its downfalls too, right? And the regular news media has its downfalls, and you start wondering, okay, where do I get good good news where it's diverse enough, and there's
Mm.
so much, and there's a lot happening, a lot of different angles that I can get, and I think that's the hardest part. I think today we have to do so much more work to find people who disagree with us. That is very important, to find news that disagrees with us, because if you don't, you'll end up in a chamber of your own beliefs, and and it can cause despair. You'll be sitting there saying, oh, these things are terrible, because you're constantly being told these are terrible. This thing is terrible. This person is terrible. They're terrible. They're terrible. So okay, if you the more you take in different beliefs, the more you'll actually be able to see, okay, maybe things aren't as bad as this guy's saying it is. Maybe, you'll find different ways of seeing the world.
And you're able to grow, because if you're just
Mhm.
going, you know, there are no challenges, there is no different perspective, there isn't a different way of thinking, seeing things, not a different narrative, everything is the same.
Mhm.
Life will be so boring. I think a lot of people will be depressed.
Mhm.
But having the ability to understand that we are different, but we also, in our differences, we serve each other. I think it's good. Let me see what great conversation, brilliant work. This is Faith Saruzai, all the way from England.
Oh, thank you very much.
And then Tendai Baiwa says, as a parent, I am proud of Lee and Justice as their efforts show that they are grateful for what God has done for them. Giving back is their way of saying thank you. And that makes my heart smile. Yes, that is proud.
I'd like to take this chance also to thank those who raised us, uh, specifically, um, because we do not come across these beliefs on our own. You know,
Yeah.
what happens is from the experiences we've had, and our parents, specifically, they raised us in a way for us to care about others,
Mm.
and in such a profound way. So there, and I, as a Zim child, I would say Justice's mom was that. You know, she the way our community, we grew up in a community, she's a lot like, like my mother as well. And it was a very great community to grow up in. We grew up in a community where we helped each other.
Mhm.
Everybody worked together. And I think that had to do with the fact that, the way we came in to Canada, the way we came in as refugees, and how we had to build. And so amazing to see what our parents were able to do and what they were able to become, and how they've shown us that we can care about people and also build our own lives along the way.
Yes, they've done a great job. They have done a great job. And as you were saying, Zimbabweans, the way we were raised is to your child is not just your child. Your child belongs to everybody in that community. And some families have been able to maintain that, and it has been easier or it has been easier for them to raise kids because your mom is my mom, your dad is my dad, and it goes like that. They share the responsibility of raising kids. And I think this is the great job that your parents have done, that they have maintained that community, those community values where it takes a village to raise a child. And you are actually witness to that, which is why we just keep saying, oh my God, we wish we didn't live so far apart,
Mhm.
because that connection and having that family support is very important. Your mom here is saying the boys stepped up and challenged us, the parents, showing us life is not all about money. Yes, it's about service, and the money will follow. And
Thank you, thank you.
Lee, Luli says that thanks for awakening us. Yes, this has been such an eye opener, because we all sitting and most of us are going, oh, COVID this, COVID that, and we are becoming, some are becoming selfless, others are becoming selfish because all they're thinking about is me, myself, and my own. But there is much more that expands us, that give us life and fulfill us by saving others. Virginia Maforo said that when you go to the food bank, are you donating commodities as well or help with packing boxes? I think you have the voice to motivate other young people for a food drive.
Yes, she almost walked me into that one. So we're actually working on a large scale food drive. here in Edmonton, and we want to also work on, because we have different connections in different places across Canada and across the United States, and finding young leaders in those areas as well that can also push our food drive as well. So to see if we can find a way to make our food drive expand past just the Edmonton area. But we want to definitely do more food drives of our own, where we're volunteering, but also taking the chance to raise food for the food banks.
Wow. Amazing. And Tendai Mbaiwa here says that I've never been to the food bank, and one day I went with Lee and Justice. Okay. I find it so fulfilling and satisfying. I encourage us all to try.
Oh, I appreciate that so much. That is the biggest thing, especially when you get a chance like this, different platforms to speak. We want to use it. Say, hey, we're going to food bank. Please come with us. Please,
Mm,
please take the chance to go see what it is that we're talking about when we say you can do so much work to help so many people. Um, if you aren't in Edmonton, you can always do work within your community that you feel is fulfilling for yourself.
mm,
For us, this is something that's so close to us. So if you aren't in Edmonton, you can go help a food bank near you. You can go help, even if you are in Edmonton. If let's say the food bank just happens to not be your thing, you can
mm,
find other ways to help. But for us, every single month we go to the food bank. We're trying to go at least bi-weekly. Coming this year, we will still go once a month, no matter what. Um,
mm,
the more people that come to us and say, "Hey, I want to volunteer," the more times we go. People at the food bank, they know us and they know us well here at Edmonton Food Bank, so they will definitely accommodate anytime we want to go. And when you go as a group of people, you also find this camaraderie to it. You have people around you that you're like, we're doing this together, and it means so much, especially for people who grew up uh, in, or who saw the situations that we saw,
right.
because if they've experienced that food insecurity at some point, or they themselves use the food bank, when you're there and you're working around
Mm,
other people who've been in that experience as well, there's a certain like, it's like a spiritual factor to what you're doing, and it really brings you in and really makes you think about how much good you could be doing for somebody.
And I would imagine there are people in their homes right now who are thinking, my goodness, where do I get the food? Um, and they're thinking that it's a difficult process to
Mm,
approach the food bank and get food. Could you
mm.
speak to someone like that right now?
Yes, yes, absolutely. So if you need food, I can only speak specifically from the view of the Edmonton Food Bank here. But if you need food, or you find yourself in a food insecure situation, um, understand, first of all, that you do not have to be broke to need food. You do not have to be in a you do not have to be on the street to need food. You can be somebody who is just in a bad situation. The food bank is for people who are there for a short time too, who only need food for a short time too. First of all, that's the first thing, because a lot of people sometimes can have a belief the food bank is just for those in society that we feel need to be lifted up. Sometimes it's for those who are in bad situations at the time, and they also are just deserving of our help. Um, but if you need food, the Edmonton Food Bank, you contact the Edmonton Food Bank. They have on their website. You can find their contact information, and from there find a location near you. There are 22 different locations around Edmonton that 28 different locations, sorry. They help 22,000 people across Edmonton every single month. So if you need food, they will find a location close to you so that it is not a difficult trek for you to go get that food. And then you go there, they'll set it up for you, and then they'll get your hamper ready. So your hamper will be prepared at the actual facility where we go work. That's where they prepare all the hampers, but then they send them out to different annexes across the city, and that's where they go and actually deliver the food to every single family.
So do they deliver them at their house, or the people come and pick up?
No, that you go to an annex location somewhere in Edmonton. That's where you go get it picked up. You go pick it up. Yeah.
Okay.
But they try their best to expand as many annexes as they can. So that way there's multiple locations people can go. Sorry.
That's okay.
Mm-hmm.
So this is also what I say. There are so many frontline workers, and what you're doing is one of them. You are one of the frontline workers, but we have a few lists of what we say that these are frontline workers for the job that you're doing is that does put you in that category as well, and we appreciate you. Let me read some more comments. I hope the sound is better now. Tendai was asking for more sound. Patience Chumantlov said, wow, just brought back memories of my university days and how the campus food bank was a huge help. Our future is bright with young people like this in our community. Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
It makes us so proud that one of our own, and we are hoping that more of our children, our young men and young women take these leadership roles and lead us, because this is what you are doing. You have just taken the torch and you are leading us and continue to do that. Can you now I want you to talk about the difficult subjects that you have the courage to talk about in your podcast.
Yes, yes, we speak about many difficult subjects. I think particularly a lot of the ones that seem to be most difficult at this time are subjects of race. That can be very hard right now. There is a lot of I think our society is going through a changing, and because of this change, there's a lot of animosity about race that is going on, and we like to speak and be willing to speak freely about the way we think about these things. We also have a lot of topics where, you know, sometimes, because we do understand that we are three guys on our podcast, and sometimes there's certain topics where even ourselves were like, oh, we wish we had a female here to speak of, you know, get female aspects. But then we also understand that it's for society to work, everybody needs to have a voice, and it's important for us to use our voice to speak about those same topics, but make sure we just speak about it in a respectful way. You know, right. We're not using our platform to denigrate or bring anybody down. That's not our goal. Our goal is always to use it to just bring more light to situations that people are going through. And anytime we do that, we feel like we are using our platform in a responsible way.
So is this platform, because you said that sometimes you wish you had a female in that discussion, is this platform for men only?
No. Um, one of our greatest conversations that we had this year was with Nyasha.
Yes.
Um, my cousin Nyasha, yes, yeah.
Okay.
So we had an interview with her, and she spoke about being what it's like to be a PhD student, and we felt like that was so useful, for a lot of, especially for a lot of young women out there, to be able to listen to her, especially as somebody who has worked so hard to get to where she is and has pushed so hard to have the kind of voice she has in science. So it was really great to hear her speak about what it's like to not just be a PhD student, not just be a scientist, but also what it's like to be a female scientist, to be a
Right.
Black female scientist, and how that has affected the way she does her work and how
Mm,
that affects the way people view her in her work. So doing interviews like that, it opens our eyes, and it was, and the more, and this coming year, we want to do more and more things like that. It'll be amazing. So the interviews that we've been able to have, we've got to have so
mhm.
so many different types of people. We had a military member, a
Oh,
guy, is a Marine. Sorry, because they say that in the Marines you never quit. If I said was, he wouldn't be happy with me. Yeah, he
yeah.
is a Marine. So, uh, having conversations like that, spoke to another person who is very much involved in the protest that happened this summer, and the way he sees how the changes have been happening within our society since then. So it's really cool to have different types of people, and we want to make sure we bring in so many more types of people this coming year. If you know any great people that we can talk to or that we can have on our podcast, please let us know. That is the number one thing. We want to bring in as many people as we can, as many young people, to tell their stories. Because the more people that tell their stories, the more people understand.
I think you left another layer on the how it's like for Nyasha when you
Mm.
counted the scientist, the female scientist, a PhD student, and a female scientist in America, a black
Mhm.
one.
Mhm.
So she has to navigate sometimes murky waters because because of who she is. She's a young female black woman and scientist and also a PhD student. And I'll look for that podcast. When we finish, could you put some links of your podcast in the discussion so that
Absolutely.
people are able to listen to your podcast?
Yes, I will. I will definitely link a lot of a few different podcasts, and then you guys can get the whole flavor aspect of our podcast.
Yes,
The whole profile.
I listened to, I think, of two of them, and I absolutely enjoyed listening to them. They're very insightful. I learned a lot. And it was after I listened to that, I thought, I need to bring this young man on South TV. He has got so much to share with our community, but we also need to learn a lot, learn a lot from you, Lee. Is
Oh,
there
thank you
anything,
so much for
is there
allowing
anything
me.
that you've been burning to share with us apart from the questions that I've asked you?
Oh, anything that I'm burning to share. I guess the biggest thing is always, we try to finish with a call to action. So that is, if you feel like you want to come out and volunteer with us, you can contact me, um, at at my you can contact me at my Facebook. So you can directly message me. You can contact us at tough_podcast on Instagram. That is where we mostly interact with our viewers and our listeners. And um, other than that, like I was saying, if you know any great people, great young people in society who are doing great things, that is exactly what our podcast is there for, is to bring light to these people. So let us know about them, and we will 110% reach out to them. And we want to have those conversations. The more people we talk to who are into different things, the more we can show young people the different gamut of things that are out there for them that they can do. So that's mostly what I have.
Right. Okay. So for our viewers and listeners, when you do see the links to this podcast, share and share and share, and also share this video as well, because we want people to learn from what we are sharing, but we also want to just make sure that the things that we are doing are helping us transform our communities, transform our society. We need better conversations. We need good conversations, not just better. We need good conversations. We need good connections. We need to grow and create a society that is safe and comfortable for us all to live in. And Salve TV was nominated for Virtual Show of the Year award. So I'm going to also put the link under this, and could you vote for us so that we
Vote,
could
vote,
vote?
vote. Vote for South TV.
You need to you need to say it in Barack Obama's voice. Go, just
Yeah,
go.
Barack Obama's vote. Go vote. Go vote for South TV. Please go vote for South TV. They're doing amazing things.
Yes, absolutely. It's been amazing having you here. I'm looking forward to having you again, and I think we'll be talking on a topic on white privilege, and I'll invite another friend to talk about that. So that is going to be another amazing conversation that I'll have with you, Lee, and the other guests. For everybody else, thank you so much for spending time with us here on South TV. I hope you have not just enjoyed, but as you said, learned a lot from Lee here. Lee, can you just say
Yes,
your
thank you. Thank you very much. First of all, to you, Monica, for allowing me on this platform. Um, it means a lot, and I'd like to thank all the viewers for listening to this. And hopefully, you were able to get something from this, and it's something that we can all use to grow and keep on pushing your own voices, keep on raising your own voices. What you say always matters. It always matters. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Now we're tuning off here on South TV. Again, my name is Monica Kunzewe Guta, your host, and we hope to see you again soon. Thank you.